The final types of nonverbal communication that we are going to discuss are personal presentation and environment. First, let's talk about personal presentation through our personal characteristics. These personal characteristics include things like our body shape, our height, our weight, our attractiveness, and other physical features of our bodies. Now, the interesting thing about physical characteristics as nonverbal communication is that we don't have a ton of control over how these things are encoded. We don't have a lot of control over how other people are perceiving us just based on things like the shape of our body or our height or our level of attractiveness. But regardless of that, these signals play a huge role in the initial impression that we make of someone. For example, we might look at someone who is rather tall and rather large and see them as foreboding, where they might be the nicest person that you have ever met. Additionally, people who are deemed attractive based on their physical characteristics tend to have distinct advantages in a lot of different aspects of their lives. And so it's really interesting that these things that we can't change about us have a big impact on the way that other people perceive us. But we can change our look to some extent and impact the way that others perceive us through things like clothing, jewelry, body art like tattoos, hairstyles, and other types of symbols that can send messages. So clothes are a really interesting part of nonverbal communication because what we are wearing sends a message to whoever is looking at us. For example, if I am wearing my teacher clothes, I might be Teacher Kelsey, but if I am just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, then I am maybe Kelsey that hangs out with my family, right? So our clothes can send messages to other people. If you see someone walking around in a business suit, that make you think of them differently than you think of someone who is walking around in jeans and a t-shirt. Jewelry can also send messages. For example, if someone is wearing a wedding ring or a necklace with a cross on it, that tells you something about that person. And body art is a really interesting form of nonverbal communication. Body piercings and tattoos have been shifting in recent years from being subcultural and less accepted by the general culture to being much more mainstream and more accepted by the general culture. And the tattoos themselves can send messages as well. And finally, our hairstyles can also send messages to other people about ourselves. So, for example, men who have shorter haircuts tend to be seen as more conservative, whereas women who have short haircuts might be seen as more masculine. And so all of these physical characteristics come together to send nonverbal messages to the people who are perceiving us. In addition to our physical characteristics, our environment also has an impact on the ways that we communicate. And our environment can include the objects that we place around us. So it can be anything from a book on a coffee table to a stack of magazines at a doctor's office to a vase of flowers that you put on a table. And all of these different objects that we place around us can create different climates. So these can create really formal climates, they can create distant climates, they can create really friendly and comforting or welcoming climates, and it all has to do with the items and objects that we place around us, with the way that we craft our environment. So as you can see, personal presentation and environment do have a significant impact on the ways that we communicate with one another.